We are live. This is the market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. Bitcoin, Ethereum, rolling straight up. Want to know how long it lasts? I'll tell you. This is the post-Easter rally. It should have happened on Easter, but it's happening now. Bollinger Bands are key, and you're going to want to see those charts as well as a complete update on the news. Is a recession coming? Okay. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, hit the like button. All right, let's see who's on the stream. Bull Runner is here. Spin is in early. Lawn Shark from East Tennessee. Servia is in the house. Welcome. Widowmaker, East Tennessee. Notorious Love from King. Sleepy Guy. Wrong again. Megan, welcome back. SFG, ready for the Block 47 release. Want to know what Block 47 is? Oh, stay tuned to this show. It's from Emerging Asset Group where I work at my day job. Actually, we make blockchain do something for a change, something useful. Commodities on the blockchain. Zoran here from Croatia. Michael is here. Okay, jumping into the news. U.S. job growth slowed in March. What is the key about understanding employment data? It's a lagging indicator. So if a recession is coming, you won't know it until the recession is perhaps here and maybe even halfway over. So the unemployment data or the employment data will look just fine. It'll look just fine. People are pricing in a 25 basis point rate hike off this. Okay. You know, the U.S. government can't pay the interest on the debt above 4.5%. And the 30-year mortgage rate does nothing but go down the more the Fed hikes rates. A sign that once again, they're over tightening. But don't look at the employment statistics. Even though the bond market does and go, the Fed's going to hike rates, it's just going to make the blow up bigger when it happens. The legacy blow up is definitely in the fall. Not investment advice. Options trading surges as investors brace themselves for U.S. regional bank volatility. Now, there's an important point here. When everybody knows something is going to happen, right? Does it happen when everyone thinks it does? No. In 2008, even those like George Soros got stopped out, either mistiming or having positions that were too big, so that when the market got volatile and stopped out everyone, because everyone was positioned the same way, he got pushed out. So are regional banks going to blow up? There's a lot of evidence to suggest that. Commercial real estate, geopolitical events. I came up with something last week on ChatGPT that if there's a geopolitical event, it could be like September 11th, and it could mirror, right, the shock that was experienced in 2001 that helped drove equities down. So September may be a down month for Bitcoin, and then there may be a geopolitical event which propels Bitcoin higher. That's the preliminary crystal ball on the fall. Now, with today being April 10th, if you're watching the stream a couple days from now, you'll notice that there are all these scary geopolitical headlines, right? China flying warships over Taiwan, right? Naval blockades. Middle East tensions, intelligence links showing that the United States is actually the one in Ukraine fighting the Russians rather than the Ukrainians fighting the Russians. Who knows what's true, but it looks like Uncle Sam is pretty wound up about it. Now, of course, everyone knows about this. They're trading options on that now. Hopefully their options go out to the fall because they're expecting it sooner rather than later. They may be in for a shock because harkening back to 2008, there was Bear Stearns in March And the real mess that wrecked equities didn't show up until the fall. Matter of fact, Lehman, which was the Silicon Valley Bank or the XYZ bank that's going to go bust. Lehman was bankrupt for 3 weeks before the market actually figured it out and went down. So are these people right? Yes. Are they early? Probably. And the manifestation of this trade, where everyone expects banks down, dollar down, may wind up manifesting as crypto up, maybe even commodities up before the dollar goes down. It would be really funny if the short-term trade was Bitcoin up, dollar down, and then perhaps dollar up on a surprise event. Point is, these guys probably are buying the wrong stuff. And obviously with Bitcoin up 3% and Bitcoin headed up into the hybrid solar eclipse on April 20th. Okay. Don't mess with Bitcoin. Bitcoin may go higher into the hybrid solar eclipse. Why? Because the Gann work on the hybrid solar eclipse shows a decline in legacy reflected in this news headline, but the way to trade it short term may be Bitcoin up. There is a lot of room. 10 days in crypto, that's an eternity. And who knows, they may do it sooner rather than later and take it up straight into tax day, right? NFA. European commercial real estate, the cracks are starting to show. Yeah, the cracks are starting to show in commercial real estate, and they've been there for a while. Okay, and they're going to continue to be there for a while as the Fed is most likely raising rates and printing money behind the scenes. The way commercial real estate and banks blow up is when there's a geopolitical event. As one fixed income commentator has said, we're not having a bank run right now. We're having a bank walk right now. A bank walk, meaning people are just slowly pulling their money out. Or commercial real estate problems are slowly creeping up. Again, how do you trade it? First, you trade it with crypto. Then you look at your 401k. Let's talk about your 401k. Do you have a 60-40 portfolio? Are you tuning into this to try to find out what's going on with Bitcoin? Do you have an IRA? Do you have an intelligent portfolio from a broker-dealer like Schwab or another retail house? You know how you type in your risk tolerance, your age, your income, and boom, it generates the portfolio? Kind of cool, huh? Well, let me ask you something. What kind of money market funds, cash, the cash holding of the portfolio, do the money market funds hold bank debt? Do the money market funds hold debt of companies that may wind up going bankrupt? Keeping in mind, Ray Dalio has had a bet for a long time on mass corporate bankruptcies. Money market funds are not FDIC insured. Bank debt might be, but not necessarily in the quantity that a money market fund owns it. So a money market fund is cash, right? Wrong. Wrong. This is what happened when they had to bail out AIG in 2008. Money market funds cracked. They called it, the legacy jargon was broke the buck. In crypto, we call it a depeg. Stable coins depeg all the time in crypto. You have a depeg in a money market fund, you got a problem. Now, this says nothing about corporate bank debt. You got a bond fund, right? Bonds. Bonds are not stocks. You know, stocks go down, bonds go up, right? That's how these portfolios are built. So you're 60 stocks, 40 bonds. Got any corporate bonds in there? How about junk bonds? You know why they call them junk bonds? Because they're junk. Because they're risky. What happens if there's a company out there, like a commercial real estate company? Hello, right? What happens if there's a commercial real estate company that needs to refinance their debt? In other words, they built a building, they issued a bond, they borrowed money to do it. Now it's like, oh, okay, well, we have to refinance. We have to get more money. We don't have the money to pay this all back. So we got to issue new bonds. They're like, whoa, wait a minute. The rate that I borrowed money at last time was 3%. Now they want to charge me 9%. Gee, I can't afford that. Guess I'm going to have to turn the keys to the building back into the bank and default on the bonds. Are bonds safe? You better think about it. You better think about it. And you better ask yourself what's in your equities portfolio by September. Most likely stocks are going to be okay short term. Everybody wants to get short stocks because everybody thinks this crisis is like the last crisis. It is, and it isn't. Everybody's watched The Big Short. Back then, we had no idea what was going on. I mean, yes, we had an idea. If you worked at an institution, banks stopped lending money to each other. But that was only at the institutional level. Like, we could see it. Our guys on the interbank funding desk were like, they were freaking out. They were losing sleep. They were putting their money under their mattress. But that wasn't something that the general public could see. And then it was like kaboom, it was on everybody. So everybody could see this. It's all over the newspaper, but the trade doesn't manifest the same way. And if I'm hammering anything on a market update with crypto up 3% as of this recording, that's what I'm hammering home. People want to get short stuff. And in the short term, headed into the eclipse, the question may be, what do you get long to implement this trade? And then short selling happens later, when all these people trying to do this trade now are stopped out. Meanwhile, you have time to evaluate your 401k. U.S. online prices declined for a 7th month in a row. Okay. Online pricing for retail consumer goods falling out of bed. I can tell you this is not the only price of whatever that's going to fall out of bed. The Fed's like, we have to stop inflation. Yeah, you do. The thing is, they already have. They just don't know it yet. It hasn't showed up in the data. For example, the more they raise rates, the higher rents go. Therefore, they have to stop tightening in order to stop inflation. So the price of goods is collapsing. You can get a TV for cheap. Okay. And the most important thing is that when people can't afford to buy a house, they have to rent. And landlords know this, so rents get jacked up. Rents show up in CPI, CPI's up, and the Fed just mindlessly continues to tighten. So the more they tighten, the bigger the recession. And these are the cracks that are starting to show. Okay. Meanwhile, Bloomberg says the bond market is overplaying the risk of a deep recession. Okay. Like I said, everybody is trading the recession now. Yeah, that may be true. But the shock may not actually hit until September or October. Meanwhile, there's a lot of room for all these people who have the trade on now to get stopped out. In other words, look at all these articles. Commercial real estate, bank failures, recession. Like, the media knows it. You never trade with the media, ever. Okay? So this is the right theme, just that you got to have the right timing and implication. Meanwhile, on a positive front, AI-focused crypto blockchain CryptoGPT raises $10 million in funding at a $250 million valuation. I know somebody who owns this, who's very enthusiastic about it. Okay. This is GPT. It's held to 62% retracement. So it didn't go up on good news, but it's not breaking the 62% retracement. And even though there's people taking profits or people who are getting washed out, it is holding the 62% retracement. And that's all I can say about a small cap, other than you can lose money in small caps. Political division in the United States surrounded around crypto. Okay. Texas God bless Texas. It's a saying down here. I live in Austin. Texas passes a bill that is going to create a metals depository, or is going to create possibly gold-backed crypto, which I would imagine is also connected to a metals depository. Correction on that. What's a metals depository? Well, meaning you could go deposit your gold with the state of Texas. So if the federal government decides to repossess gold like they did during the Depression, good luck getting that from the state of Texas. And you'll be able to write checks against the gold that you have. Tex Metals has a similar function where you can call their trading desk and they'll sell gold and wire you money. Meanwhile, Arkansas is protecting Bitcoin mining rights. And don't be surprised if more conservative states, who frankly have not done much intelligently on the political front lately, start moving themselves to protect their citizens on a monetary front from a problem with the federal government. Sushi Dex recovers 100 ETH after million lost on weekend exploit. White hat actors, right? Stole the funds, and I guess they got it back. You got to self-custody your crypto, people. Every YouTuber is telling you that. Here's the Texas lawmakers proposing a gold-backed state digital currency. Tex Metals, they have their own gold coins and silver coins. It's actually the best way to get liquidity, at least with them. Don't doubt that you're going to see states issuing their own money. Basically, they're going to say, if the federal government's going to do it, we're not taking that stuff. We want our citizens to have our money. You know, like red states finally doing something that's like smart. I like it. Okay. Binance US unable to find bank partners in the United States. You know, what we're going to do is we're going to drive CZ right back into the arm of the Chinese. This is like the sanctions on this conflict in Eastern Europe. They start the conflict. We cancel the country, implement sanctions, weaponize the dollar and SWIFT. They pull all the oil and fertilizer, skyrocketing food prices. Those people are used to suffering. They're probably not suffering. And we're getting killed by inflation. We'll walk face first into it. And now we're going to walk face first into the Chinese re-embracing crypto by having it in Hong Kong and having CZ, essentially take his operation and move it where they can't get to him. I mean, they won't stop attacking this guy. And, you're going to wake up one day and they're going to be gone. OpenAI finds fresh support in Japan. Folks, let me tell you something. AI is here. I got to give credit. I got to give props to the Eagle King, my producer. He has been pushing my old ass to get up to speed on this. And it's definitely working. It's definitely working, right? We're leveraging the research that I do, like my executive MBA that I got from the University of Texas in 2002 has come back in relevance, right? I mean, I'm doing economics again on TikTok. And if I can, ask the right questions based on my background, something good is happening. I could also disappear because this thing could reach charts one day. But I'm not going to sit here and focus on the negative that can happen. I'm not going to say, oh, my job's going away. Like if you're a writer, you can say, oh, my job's going away. Well, not if you learn how to use it and make what you do better. I mean, I get it. Things are scary. I don't want this whole show to be like, oh my God, the news media is like 2 million jobs going away, recession, warships. The news media loves this. Figure out how this can help you. Ruh-roh. Bitcoin tops a former president self-defense in Google Trends. Okay. Popular terms such as Chuck Norris and health insurance and politics did not even make the top 10 list. Now, when you see Bitcoin as number one, it should tell you two things. One, we're in the later stages of a move. If you've been watching this show, you know that Bitcoin was probably going higher into the hybrid solar eclipse, because I've been going wah about that for some time. But now everyone else knows it. So William Gann would tell you, don't chase the last bit of the last move. Don't chase the last 1/8 or 1/12 of a move. So yeah, you want to put a trade on, you want to catch 30K, you want to catch 34K, maybe. If it gets crazy, feel free. But don't FOMO in with the rent money above 30K, because you could get like a V top. You could get people really getting emotional, and then it comes back down to 28. Maybe. Right? Or you could get a range up there. You could get a range at 32, a spike to 34. Now, I don't know what's going to happen in May. I do know that if it rallies in May, I'm going to take profits. I'm going to sell in May and go away. Probably by the 25th, anticipating possibly a geopolitical problem or a regulatory problem in June. If you think the government's trying to stop Bitcoin now, if Bitcoin goes to 30K, it's an embarrassment to them. It's an embarrassment to them. Inflation is killing us. Steak dinner for 2 people over the weekend. We shared 1 steak, 2 mixed drinks, a bottle of Pellegrino, crab cake appetizers. I know, not low end. 3 cups of decaffeinated coffee, but 1 steak, $250. $40 to fill up my friend's gas tank with premium gas. How can we afford that? I'm glad I did it now, because I don't know. I couldn't sustain that. It was a nice occasion. It was kind of like Happy Easter to myself. But how can we afford it? The Fed needs to stop raising rates, or we'll see a recession soon. Let me put a phrase out there that they use in Legacy. It's called demand destruction, which could be why Bitcoin is rallying. Bitcoin is probably looking at this and going, oh my God, these guys are pricing in 25 basis points rate hike? Oh, please. These guys are going to have to print money out the wazoo. They're going to have to print 10 trillion. They're going to have to, literally, there's 17 trillion in the U.S. banking system as deposits. They printed 6 trillion in 1 month for COVID. This is way worse than COVID, because the whole system is in jeopardy. Now, when does that come into focus? Probably after the government attacks Bitcoin in June. Buy in July and let it fly. Not investment advice. Watch out for Rectember. And then the decoupling happens in October. Then you get busy at holiday time, hoovering it up for January, February of next year. That's the Bitcoin roadmap that I'm sticking with for the moment. Okay. Requires like crystal ball level type stuff, between Gann work and ChatGPT. Meanwhile, I think gold has a lot of upside in the short term. Okay. I got 100 messages in the chat. Thank you. Now let's get 100 likes. Okay. Minimize it on your phone and hit the like button. Do it. It helps us. It helps the channel. It helps us bring you better work, right? The better work we can bring you, the more stuff we can get to you in September and October, when it comes time to worry about the 401k, the decoupling, hit the like button. Okay, let's see who's in here. Mr. Moby Dick, Digital Bobby. Yo, is this thing on? Yes, it is on. Wrong again. Bitcoin is creative destruction. Yes, it is. What a perfect way to sum up what is going on between now and the hybrid solar eclipse at the end of April. Okay. Megan says, F that. Groceries are absolutely ridiculous. God forgive you. Buy healthy food. Makes me sick, to be honest. God forgive you if you have to buy. God help you if you have to buy healthy food. If you took a shopping bag or a small beach bag and filled it up with food in the United States, it's about $60. Now, of course, people in Europe are like, hey, big boy, shut up. It's way worse here. Yeah, I get that. But this is only sustainable for so long. And if you shock the system in September, October with these price levels, crypto is going to start moving or try to start moving way in advance of that. Right? The government may try to smack it back down, so it may be Bitcoin versus the government. But, if you want to play this from the long side and grab what dips there are and get out of the way for June, I'm down. I am so down. Village Cooking is here. Kim Craig says, not investment advice. Pay attention to the Sheepdog. Thank you for that. For anybody who's new, here's the story of the Sheepdog. So last year, there were a lot of DeMark signals, a lot of signals for sell in May and go away. And this whole Celsius thing where they were telling you everything was all right, but it wasn't. I said, get out, get out, get out. It was exhausting. And the market kept going up. Like, let me see if I can pull it up on the charts. Like, a little like Wall Street war story. Crypto style. So where did the Sheepdog nickname come from? Okay, here's Ethereum. Basically, in April, I'm like, get out. Okay, but they kept upticking it. Like, look at this here. They took it to 3,500. They took it to 3,500 or 3,250. Then they took it down. Then they sat there. And look at these candlesticks, right? They keep trying to take it up, and then they drop it. And then it goes down, and then they bring it back. Like, this doesn't look like much. This is a pain in the ass. Look at how many times they dropped it. Everybody knew it was coming. Well, I knew it was coming. And I'm like, get out, get out, get out, get out. And I didn't think anyone was listening because of this price action, right? Every time it would go down, it would come back. Every time it would go down, it would come back. Everyone's like, okay, now it's going to happen. And they would squeeze everybody out to 3,000. Then it went. And there was one day where I was just like, all right, I don't know if I'm getting through. I can't even remember what day it was, but I read something called the Prayer of the Sheepdog. The Prayer of the Sheepdog is something that military and police use. It's basically a prayer that says, may I be ready. Please help me be ready to protect the sheep against the wolf, because my job of protecting people is a sacred duty. I read that on the air, figuring no one would ever tune into the show again. Basically, the market collapsed the next day. And many people said that they were in the Sheepdog army, which, of course, I appreciate. Okay. The new definition of keeping you out of trouble is getting you into crypto so you can get while the getting's good, then get out of the way of the government, get it on the dip, and make sure that your P&L is intact so that when crypto goes through rally mode or legacy does its fall convulsion, that you got the powder or you got the P&L or the sanity to average in. I don't know exactly what it looks like, obviously. But there's a new version of the Sheepdog. The Sheepdog for this version is your 401k. Meanwhile, in Ethereum, we have a DeMark 9 top that didn't really stop the market much. It looks like we have an 11 here on what's called the sequential system. So DeMark was a quant technical analyst. Markets either pause on a 9 or top on a 13. These refer to a certain set of conditions being present. So if a certain set of conditions are present, Like the high is higher than the high 2 days ago. You get a number here. So this could be an Ethereum 11, 12, 13. You want to know what impact the 13 can have? I'm just, as an example, that was the Sheepdog 13 in April. That was the get out mark. This was the get in mark on the 9 bottom back in September. Now, that took a while, but, you know, this in ETH, I mean, you could have, you know, Bitcoin may get attacked. ETH might catch up. Don't underestimate ETH, say, rest of April and in May. Bitcoin may pause and at 30 something and ETH could go. Now, I know ETH has the Shanghai upgrade. The counterpoint on ETH is that normally when there's a dip in these trends, it can be on a 4. On the 4th count on the monthly chart. So this could be a dip month for ETH. Again, not trying to talk out of both sides of my mouth. The hybrid eclipse, good for crypto on April 20th. After that, take your trading profits. Okay, Bitcoin. Okay, undoubtedly you've heard all about this by now, but it's okay. I can give you my version. So volatility in Bitcoin has gone to 0. We know this. So the Bollinger Bands, they're a measure of market volatility, meaning when things are volatile, the Bollinger Band, this is the Bollinger Band width down here. So for anybody who's into statistics, it's 2 standard deviations above and below the 20-day moving average. If that makes no sense, don't worry about it. When it's volatile, the bands widen. When it's not volatile, they narrow in. And this is about as narrow as the Bollinger Bands have been since the 2023 takeoff, right? So this is post FTX, you know, where everyone was like, you know, essentially drowning themselves in media FUD. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is taken off. The slow Bollinger Bands means volatility is coming. 27K held as support. And the next diagonal point I have is 34. Now, I don't know if it gets there, but there could be a God candle here. There could be. And if there is, it's going to suck a lot of people in. And remember, go back to this thing where everybody is online searching for Bitcoin on the internet. Just remember, don't trade with anybody else. If you want to catch the last part of the move, cool. But don't get caught in the pool when they throw the toaster in, say above 32K. Don't. Okay? I mean, there will be dips in months like June. Get while the getting's good. Okay, let's go to like a 4-hour chart of ETH and see if we got anything on that that's useful. So again, you've got resistance at 1900. The way I'm thinking this plays out, if you go to D-Wave, all right, it's pretty simple. The move from 1600 to 1800 was 1. Then there was a dip, that's 2. Okay, you had some FOMO up to 1950, that's 3. And then this is 4. And then 5 is the new high. Now, how does Shanghai affect this? You know, I don't know. I think you have to worry about Shanghai and potential impacts on price. Let ETH do a catch-up rally. Let them ram it. I don't know if they're going to ram it before they drop it. Okay. But don't underestimate what crypto can do into the hybrid solar eclipse on the 20th. After that, we reevaluate. Now, Bitcoin. So you had the 13 top. It did nothing. When something is supposed to top and it doesn't, it's probably going to go up. And that's what's happening here. Okay. By the time you read this, like if you're watching this 2 days from now, Bitcoin will probably have tested and penetrated 30K. I'm guessing based on this DeMark work, The big level is 30,279. So again, 2 to 3 to 4 to 9 up days in Bitcoin. I don't think up 3% is a big update. I really don't. I think if you get, like, if this goes to 29 and then you're going to get one dip, and if they buy that dip, that's when you're going to get 30 something. And man, are you going to have people chasing it? You're going to have people FOMOing in. All the people who thought crypto was dead and wouldn't touch it down here when it dipped to 20. By the way, just as a DeMark lesson, there's the 13 bottom right here. 13 bottom on that dip to 20. For whatever reason, everybody decided to get bearish on top of the biggest support point of all time. Kind of hysterical in Bitcoin. $20K in 2017 was the all-time high. Well, would sit around in crypto going, we'll never see this above 20K again. We'll never see it. Seeing went to 20K. This was the biggest rally anybody had ever seen at the time because there were a lot of new people in crypto. This rally from like 2,000 to 20,000, you got a 10x in Bitcoin in 3 months. That's pretty impressive. Then you came over here. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months. You had 8 months to get it below 20K, and nobody wanted it. And you had a flash dip down to 20K. So you know how you get the dip on a 4? The dip could have been on a 3. Now talk about it going up into the hybrid solar eclipse. That's why there could be a God candle. Everyone's like, oh, God, I remember Bitcoin Miami. That's coming up in May, which could be the top, by the way. Yeah, I remember up here, Bitcoin Miami, May, something like that of 2021. People saying, you know what? If Bitcoin went to 20K again, I'd sell my house to buy Bitcoin. And I said to him, if Bitcoin goes back to 20K, you won't be able to sell your house. And obviously, no one wanted Bitcoin because they just kept selling it down here. Then it started to rally, and Kramer said it's being manipulated. Not true. And even if it is true, you know, our job is to figure out what direction it's going in, not to find out what the rationale of the market. Bill Williams used to say, you need to want what the market wants. Okay? Want what the market wants. Fernando is here. Driftless, Fernando. Driftless comes in and out. I don't know what happens to Taz. Taz, man, if you're out there, come back. Come back. Great filibuster. Notoriously late for the notoriously great stream. And Village Cooking is a big fan of the crypto war stories. Okay. Megan's like $250. I bet you could cook your wifey a much better meal and y'all could get your own steak. Okay, well, that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. We went to this. First of all, there's no wifey, unfortunately. So I went on this like hybrid, let's just call it maybe a friendly networking event. Okay, so I went to this like friendly networking event, possibly a date. Went to this restaurant, just kind of ordered food, figured it's okay. We'll split a steak, and boom. Next time we're eating home. Meanwhile, we're eating at home. Okay. Somebody got out of a DeFi loan and got out of Celsius with his Matic, and it was a close call. You're right. It was a close call. Okay. Let's try to take a look at total crypto market cap to see what's happening there. So total crypto market cap also breaking out. The thing that's funny about total crypto market cap, again, I'm taking the Bollinger Bands width off that because I think that point has been made. Okay. When you look at the diagonal work, the fib speed resistance lines for total crypto market cap drawn off the November highs. I am not seeing a lot to stop this thing. I mean, maybe if you look at it from a horizontal point of view, okay, there's that old high at like 1.17 trillion. So, you know, obviously the market is right now currently respecting that. But if the market doesn't respect that, just saying, you know, the next resistance is 1.32 trillion. You could be talking about adding, you know, $15 billion to total crypto market cap. That's a God candle in Bitcoin, and maybe a God candle in some of these things like Solana. I hear the Ethereum phone operating system is out. Don't mess with certain kind of altcoins. People are short altcoins right now. You don't want to own altcoins in the fall, but that's the whole point, right? Going back to this, everybody is doing the same trade. Everybody is bearish banks and real estate. I get it. Everybody is bearish altcoins. I get it. Everyone thinks the Fed's going to continue to hike rates and there won't be a recession. I get it. Or there will be a recession. I get it. The consensus trades don't work when they're supposed to. They don't work when they're supposed to. King is here. Wants to check out some altcoins. Look at Polkadot. Okay, all these altcoins are going to have these formations. You'll see the 9 top. This is a rare and messy instance where you see, you know, the green numbers and the red numbers in the same place. Don't doubt that this could go 11, 12, 13. Let's try a weekly chart in Polkadot to see if we can get a better read. Interesting thing about Polkadot on its weekly chart, no DeMark count at all, right? In other words, is there anything stopping this? This is in the middle of a range. So traders won't like this, but you're in the middle of a range and the top of the range is 742. Could they take it up there? Yeah, they could. They could. Okay, Spin wants me to look at the 3-day bearish divergence in Bitcoin. Okay, so this analysis that I did had like I had April 7th as kind of like a topping point. This is harmonics, something I'm like experimenting with. You know, right now you have prices making new high, but you don't have a new high in RSI. Really, that's only relevant if that RSI rolls over hard. So if this was ever a V top where they sucked everybody in and then dropped it, that would be bad. But I don't think we're there yet on the daily chart. Let's look at the 3-day chart and label this properly. So yeah, you're right. A lot of these new highs not confirmed by new highs in stochastics. I get it. I get it. Okay, but you also have to try to do like the hidden pivot analysis on this. Okay, so you got some pretty good resistance right here at 29.5, and I had my hidden pivot analysis. It's kind of why I'm telling people to not get crazy above 30, even though I'm sure it can take it out if it wanted to. I'm saying you can draw resistance. I want you to party on while you can, but don't trade with the herd. Don't trade with the herd above 30K, right? Bitcoin tops everything in Google search. The hybrid solar eclipse is bullish. Cool. Manage your emotions on the way up, because I can only imagine what crypto Twitter is going to look like at 30K. Okay, good friend of the show looking at total 2. Now, here's a guess on how this is all going to play out, right? So you got resistance over here at like 609 billion. Of course, you've got this ETH Shanghai wildcard, which, frankly, I made an ass out of myself off the merge. I really thought that was going to be something big, and I got smoked. My guess is with total 2, if somebody was going to sell Ethereum, I know this is counterintuitive, but what the big guys would do is they would break this thing out. They would just buy it, break this thing out, get everybody sucked in, and then drop it if that's what's going to happen. In other words, I don't think ETH can go, or total 2, which is basically altcoin, total crypto market cap, sorry. Total 2 is total crypto market cap without Bitcoin. So if they're gonna do this, they have just sat here below resistance. It's not backing off. It's not like up here where it went there and collapsed, It's been sitting here. So they're probably going to ram it through, and then if they turn around and drop it, that's where you have to be careful. You have to be careful of the false breakout. Now, meanwhile, God, these Bitcoin miners. I mean, if this isn't the bigger the base, the higher in the space. I mean, Hut Mining trading at $1.84. I mean, where's Galaxy? So Galaxy Digital, the hedge fund run by Mike Novogratz. Nice breakout of a possible head and shoulders bottom formation. 2 shoulders, 2 shoulders, 2 heads. Possible upside target 904. Right? You might be able to grab this now. You might be able to grab this in June. I think the crypto space as a whole could be considered totally undervalued. It's because they're afraid of the regulation. But ETH is never going to be considered a security, in my opinion. It's not investment or legal advice, but they're asking the courts to enforce a law that no one has passed. So the SEC has passed no regulation, and Congress has passed no law. So the judge is going to look at this and go, what are you guys trying to do? You guys trying to use the Howey test? You guys, you know what I'm saying? Like there's no regulation saying that such and such thing is or is not a security. There's no guidance. The fact that there's no guidance hurts their case. So naturally, they're undervaluing the whole crypto industry. And part of me is wondering, even though June's probably going to be scary, what they can do with these crypto stocks in the meantime. I wonder if they can be God candles or people like FOMOing in. Because really, the stocks haven't seen the FOMO yet. They haven't. Okay, looking at Gala. King is like, please do altcoin overtime. Altcoin overtime will undoubtedly come back, most likely during the Bitcoin rally or right after the Bitcoin rally into the hybrid solar eclipse. In other words, after we get the eclipse and Bitcoin stops outperforming, that's when it's going to be time to look at altcoins. In the meantime, it's basically like you're watching paint dry. Now, the good news in Gala is that there's resistance at 0.041 The bad news is it has to take it out. The good news is you could have 6 more up candles. Metaverse, gaming, none of this stuff is dead. None of it is. In other words, what happens the day that the artificial intelligence revolution, right? My producer's favorite, CryptoGPT, not investment advice. You can get killed in altcoins. What happens when they finally figure out how to bridge metaverse, crypto, gaming? How long do you think that's going to take? So is this a buy right now? Well, I don't know. Okay. If you were hodling it, should you give up on it? Not right now. Could you have to put up with some volatility in September? Probably. Should you come out of 2023 long AF? Probably. Because you could have a decoupling event in October, followed by, you could have a decoupling event in October, followed by the pre-halving trade. So let's wrap it up. Your 401k, if you don't know exactly what's in your 401k, Ray Dalio's coming to eat your lunch. Don't be a sheep. Don't get eaten by the wolf. Bitcoin up into the hybrid solar eclipse, most likely not investment advice. ETH, if it's going to go down off some fundamental event like the merge, they're probably going to rip it up and try to run the stops and get people sucked in. Make money while you can on the upside, but don't get married to positions. Don't get dogmatic. Don't listen to the media, and don't listen to crypto Twitter. The consensus trades are always the wrong trades, even if it's the right thing to do fundamentally. Frequently, big thinkers, deep thinkers, and even guys like the media, they may not be wrong, but they're probably early. So that's it. We're headed over to Debate Crypto to continue the discussion. We'll see you on Thursday.